Listen, small business owners, why listen to me? You don't have to. You don't have to listen to anyone. You can, if you like, stay where you are for the balance of your life. You can, if you like, limit your business to your own current understanding. You can, if you like, choose not to seek guidance, choose not to seek help, choose not to reach out to people, choose not to let people know when you don't know what to do.
This in Cape Verde, I'm not the most loved person here because I speak the truth. I don't change my values. So if you put $1 million here and it goes against my values, I won't be taking it. The company won't be taking it. So that is very important because people get to respect you differently. So because they can't control you, because you have your own mindset, your own values, and your own mission.
Am I solving a problem? Am I meeting consumer and client demand? And it doesn't matter if you're selling toothpaste on the corner of a roadside or you are providing an app that makes life a lot more pleasurable or simple. The question remains, am I solving a problem?
You have a mission that is not only for you, but for your community. So what is your purpose? Why you are doing it? If it's just for money, it won't be the best way to approach it. Do it for your purpose, for your mission, for your why, and then the money will get to you. Then the money will be involved. Don't be driven by the money.
You'll generate teams from those three functions, meaning somebody that manages the business. You have teams that manage functions that needed to be managed before. Somebody that controls calls. That person becomes more operationally inclined. Now you have hiring processes to onboard professionals, to onboard individuals, more of an HR operations perspective. And then your third person will be a specialist, which is in the technology framework, somebody that understands technology, that understands they need developers, they need engineers, they need people that are front facing, your back end, your front end needs to be developed, particularly, there are different roles there. You can't have a jack of all trades at a certain level. So as you grow along, you sort of need to give yourself between 1 and 3 years to understand how to figure this out.
Something that he does very, very hard was a fintech application that we created. Is the country's first fintech app that we had an email from Cape Verde Central Bank saying, you can't do this. Why we can't do this? Because there's no regulations for fintech in Cape Verde. So those are the kinds of things that we had to go through.
Courage is the currency that you're looking for. It's what's going to take to buy the change, the growth. It's what's going to buy the goodwill. It's what's going to buy opportunities that aren't currently afforded to you. Courage is what's going to do that. Moving with purpose, moving with clarity, show up in a way that people go, wait a minute, that was different.
If you're doing this because of money, starting any business because of money is generally, it's a great motivator. If you know you can earn money, it's always wonderful. However, money, you always hear that people will say, if you're doing something well and you're doing the right thing, money will come.
I'd like to share with you some core values that you might think of it for your own businesses. Each one. That is the main thing we have in our company, that is empowering your colleague. So what we did, we started very, very slow with one employee, and we teach him everything. And then when we got to the second employee, the first one is the one that do all the onboarding. So he's the one that shared what are our values. He's the one that shared how to get the job done, not us anymore. So that creates a cycle. So the next one is directed by the second one, and on and on and on again.
Apparently that business failed. I'm not doing that anymore. So whatever advice I give as it pertains to that particular business, I just take that with a grain of salt. It's not like I was a perpetual success. Growth, I helped with the growth strategy. My biggest challenge in the business was finding people who cared as much as I did. Finding people who were going to do things the way they needed to be done when no one was watching. That was what was most difficult.
Maximize your potential. The best thing is to realize that you don't know everything. So you can always learn from everyone and every day. At the company, we say that we are all ignorant because we don't know everything, especially on technology that moves so fast. So you have to be updated, get certifications, keep studying. You will never stop studying.
Number one, incorporate a company. Number two, if you have assets, place all of the assets in the company. Number three, if you need debt to leverage your entity so that you can get into the market, so that you can buy stock, so you can do anything, loan that money elsewhere. And I'll give you the secret. Every single business in the Fortune 500 does not operate on their own capital. They operate using the bank's money, and they pay the interest and they repay the bank over time. So do not be afraid of that. One, your debt, that's your friend if it's manageable. And number two, it's also tax deductible. Understand that this is something that is a relationship that is part of business.
As a small business owner, your litmus has to be courage. Am I moving in fear or am I moving in faith? If I'm moving in fear, then ultimately I am moving backwards.
There's something we say, ask for forgiveness, not for permission. So you have to be courage enough. And that's what we did for the fintech app. We didn't tell the central bank that we were launching a fintech app because if we had to ask before, they would say no. So we launched it first, and then we started the conversation. Okay, now that it's in the market, let's sit together and talk about how this can be a reality.
So the takeaway for right now is registration is important. Understanding your tax obligations is important. Understanding how to use debt is important. So that means your loans, so that you can use other people and their money to make sure that your profits month on month or quarter on quarter or year on year is at a place where you want, so that you can pay them their monthly installment and the interest, but you can actually run a business and retain those earnings and use it in the business, you know? So understanding that's important. And then thirdly, get past the 3-year mark.
My first responsibility is never to my business. My first responsibility is never to my customers. My first responsibility is always to my family. So when the business and the customers dictated so much that I couldn't operate like I was supposed to in my family, I let that go because I could not trust the people to do the things I would do when I was not around.
Right now is the best time for ladies in business. We have a lot of wonderful women around there giving us the power. So this is the time, this is the moment. Don't wait for tomorrow. We might lose the chance. So this like women for technology, women in tech has been doing an amazing work empowering women. I'm sure you'll find many different other companies, organizations that are helping women. So be attentive in LinkedIn, look for opportunities because there are a lot of opportunities for women right now.
There are 4 forms of intellectual property. There will be designs and trademarks. There will be logos. There will be copyrights and then patents. These are all different forms of intellectual property. So in the software environment, there's a debate around whether or not you are registering a copyright or a patent. This is different country and country. So when you're protecting this identity, you can protect your brand and logo by registering a trademark in those respects, or registering the business in those respects to defend against other businesses that would like to sort of copy your brand or logo and your slogan. Once you're registered, nobody else can copy that. Remember, that is in a particular country. So if you're in Nigeria, you can do this.
One of the secrets of having a good process is to change it every day. So every day you're learning, every day something new comes in. So you have to adapt. So you have to adapt every day. Any process, it's the perfect one. But we managed to have a process because we did that. But once the company started, we took a time to sit and write down a process. So before giving work for the people, they already know what is the process. So it's a matter of writing down what you've been doing every day, just documenting, so you can share with others and so you can automate.
I think I'll come in there. So we need to understand that some forms of intellectual property, and this is really difficult and tumultuous at times, some forms of intellectual property like copyrights come into existence on production. Patents are registered. So when you have any invention that is patentable, if you do not have a registered patent for that invention, it is taken by law that you are not the originator of that idea. Unfortunately, this is what happens to many individuals that share their ideas too soon. And the only way to defend that idea, that invention, is by showing registration, which is then demonstratable at a point in time. Now, you will find that when you register a patent, there may be similar patents that exist from the 1980s. And then you need to go back home and then sort of re-engineer your idea to make sure that it's different to submit a successful application to the commission. If it is an idea, do not give it away easily. As simple as that. If you have 5 points of your idea, 5 points, do not give away the 2 that make it successful. Speak about the 3 that you can actually market.
What I'm saying, though, is that on any given day, certain opportunities and things show up where you have to make a choice. And you're either going to choose in faith or you're going to choose in fear. And just so we're clear, not choosing is fear. Not choosing is choosing not to choose. So the longer I let something go, the longer I let it languish, the longer I let it just simmer in the background and hoping it fixes itself, hoping that it comes to its own conclusion, I am choosing fear.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, everybody. Very quickly, I want us to just introduce yourself, tell us your name, tell us the name of your company, and then tell us the country you're joining us from.
Perfect.
So let's start from Mary. Mary Patrick.
I am Mary Patrick from Kenya. I work as a consultant with SAIDS organization where we train youth on how to use design thinking and system thinking. So the main reason why I'm here to learn, to unlearn, and also to meet other people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's go to is it Graneline, John, Nora, over to you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Okoji. My name is Okoji Nora. I'm Nigeria, and The name of my business is Moonlocks Limited. We produce nightwears for ladies and gentlemen too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person is the beauty world. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Danila by name. I'm into farming. Where I usually do the production of oil.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start with immediate effect. Just before I introduce Bo, this is EDP for Africa, Entrepreneurship Development Program for Africa. Good enough, this is the second cohort of this program, and yeah, the first cohort was so great. The first cohort was so powerful. And yeah, it has been delayed for some time now because of the the engagement of some of our facilitators and the people working on this project. Yeah, so the expectation is for us to help small business owners to scale their businesses to the next level in the continent of Africa and then beyond that. So if you're a business owner here, which I know you are, I know your expectation is to expand your business. If you don't want to expand your business, then I don't think you're in the right room. But then let's begin. I want you to know that the speaker we're bringing on board right now is Mr. Bo Biodon. Bo Biodon is the transformation strategist at Microsoft, the Microsoft right? Bo has been in communication and strategy. Bo is the transformation officer in Microsoft, and Bo is a multi-talented individual. His areas of passion includes equipping and empowering people, business development, transformation and strategy, leadership philosophy, engagement philosophy. He is a great guy. Then why work with Bo? Why do you have to listen to him? Bo always wants you to satisfy your customer. Bo's masters storytelling, which some of us in the room here is an example. Bo, he makes complex things very, very simple. So because we say he's coming from Microsoft, don't expect to get the booze of your lifetime. He's going to make it very, 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 very simple. So ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Bo to the microphone. Bo, you're welcome.
Yeah, well, thank you. And that was completely unnecessary. All that introduction stuff only tends to put people off. At the end of the day, I have a few minutes. Now tell me what my time frame is. It is currently 17 after. How much time do I have, Chibuike?
You have 20 minutes.
20 minutes. All right. So
yeah.
Oh, it just flipped to 18. So that's how, if I do the math, 28, that's 38, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go that far. All right. So listen, small business owners, why listen to me? You don't have to. You don't have to listen to anyone. You can, if you like, stay where you are for the balance of your life. You can, if you like, limit your business to your own current understanding. You can, if you like, choose not to seek guidance, choose not to seek help, choose not to reach out to people, choose not to let people know when you don't know what to do. That's what keeps most small businesses small, is they're afraid to say what they don't know. They're afraid to ask certain questions. You can't be those people. So if you want your business to grow, as Chibuike mentioned, you probably should stay engaged. So what I'm going to talk about from my perspective is I do work for Microsoft. I'm a digital transformation director for Microsoft, and I have very large customers. My largest customers have over 50,000 employees. They're global organizations. They're names you'd know if I told you, believe they're brand names. But at the end of the day, their journey is different. When I think transformation for a big, huge organization, it means that there's a level of complexity that does not allow them to evolve fast enough. The business is moving faster than they are. The customer demands are moving faster than they are. The changes in their supply is moving faster than they are. And so in that way, Evolution is not going to work. You can't keep up. You have to transform if you're going to keep up in this rapid change economy. That's at the top level. When we start talking about net new businesses, small businesses, I have some perspective there as well. I started an organization here in the United States called Technoversity. It was a one-man show for about a year. Then it became a 7-person show, and then it grew to about 25 and eventually grew to about 350. And so as a small business owner, I understand and recognize the challenges of the journey, even if I can't currently appreciate the challenges of your environment. But the growth process at that level is fundamentally different than it is at an enterprise level. If we're talking, pick any big company, talk Zoom, since we're on a Zoom call. If Zoom is to keep up with customer demand is a function of how customers want to consume. If I want to buy things on my phone, if that's what I want to do, then the producers who get there first have market advantage. If I want to return things without it costing me money, the companies who figure out how to monetize your information in a way that it compensates when they give you free returns, if they get there first, they win. So it's about getting to what customers want first. That's how you create market share, even in the tightest markets. But the only way to do that is to know your customers. The only way to do that is to know what they want, to what they're doing. What are their hobbies? What do they do on a daily basis? What's the most difficult thing associated with buying and procuring and using whatever it is you have to offer? I have to know my customers that well. And it doesn't matter if I'm in the Fortune 100 largest organizations of the world or if I'm selling lotion on a street corner. If I want to be successful and grow, then I'm not transforming. What I'm doing is I'm learning from my customers and I'm iterating. See, transformation, if you think transformation, think a long, arduous, difficult process. Years, 3, 4 years. But when you're a small business, your advantage is that you're agile. You don't need to transform at your level. You're agile. You make a decision, and because it's a 1-person, 2 people, 3-person company, the change is made today, which allows you to iterate in a way. And iterate means to keep trying new versions. So I have a version, but then next week, maybe I'm going to tweak that a little. And I'm not talking about version of your product. I'm talking about the versions of your business. So right now I deliver goods by bicycle. Right now I deliver goods by hand. Do I have a storefront? And I start to think through all of the possibilities, and then I match those possibilities with customer demand, and I start to iterate, which means incremental little changes. If you get 1% better per day, in 10 days, you're 10% better. If it's 1% per month, if it's 1% per year, you're still growing and changing. You just have to decide at what pace. The faster you want to change, the more you have to get others involved, right? You know the proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. I mean, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. That's what you want to do. Go alone. But listen, fast doesn't necessarily mean productive. Busy doesn't mean productive. I can go as fast as possible in the wrong direction. I can go at top speed in any direction I choose. So let's do the work to make sure we're choosing the right directions. You're doing the right things by being here. You're doing the right things by standing up and raising your hand and saying, I want to be a part of EDP because I need to better myself. Because as a small business, you are your business. Improving your business isn't just about getting new customers. It's about learning new skills. It's about understanding new things. And it's about learning from new people to get fresh ideas. Because your ideas right now are the most valuable thing in your business. How you think about what it is you do, how you think about the people for whom you might do it. Those things are the most important things of value. Those things are what's going to drive your business to net new levels. So stay curious. Stay curious. Learn about how other companies do what they do. The internet now has given us access to information that would have taken our ancestors years to compile. We can ask something like Copilot to do it, and we get it in seconds. What's the current trajectory of models of tennis shoes? And it'll historical history of modeling. And so you can very quickly start to ascertain and grab and understand things that would have taken others years. Because of technology, you're alive at a time when you have significant advantage. Significant advantage. For example, it is currently 11:25 here in Atlanta, Georgia. I, sitting in front of my computer, in front of a camera, am speaking to you from wherever you are. And that's not something that was afforded to our forefathers. That's not something that was afforded to our ancestors. That's not something that was afforded even to our parents. To have that kind of access globally to a body of knowledge that can move you and your business and your community ahead at light speed. But you have to get to a place where you're no longer afraid of the technology, where you're no longer hesitant to embrace the technology, where you're no longer, too busy to learn the technology. Now, I understand technology is this, it's billed as the great equalizer, and to some degree it really is. But by that same token, it's also become the great litmus. Now, litmus is a word that's used in science. When I'm in chemistry, very specifically, if I'm testing a particular chemical and I have a strip of paper, the strip of paper has on it various other chemicals that will react with the chemical that's in the actual solution. And when I dip that in and I pull it out, whatever's on this stick changes colors based on what's in the actual container, and I learn immediately what's in the container. And so litmus has come to symbolize a measure by which I can determine if something is good or bad for me. It's a litmus. So this is how I check. This is how I know. This is how I come to believe and understand. And so as I start to think through your journey ahead, I want you to measure everything by your litmus should, as a small business owner, your litmus has to be courage. Am I moving in fear or am I moving in faith? If I'm moving in fear, then ultimately I am moving backwards. Imagine, if you will, we're walking through a dark landscape and we hear a loud noise off to the right. We don't know what the loud noise is, but it scares us, so then we immediately go left. If we move in fear, then we're moving away from things, which means we're just trying to get away from it, but we don't really know where we're going. We just don't want that. Whatever that was, I don't want that. So I'm going this way with no clue what's waiting on me this way. If I move in faith, it's different. I hear that loud sound, but I trust the path that I'm on, and I didn't hear it on my path. It wasn't in front of me. It wasn't in the direction I'm going. So I keep moving in the darkness in the direction that I know is the right way to go. So then with faith, I am always moving towards something. And in fear, I'm always moving away from it. I'm always moving away from things. People who move in fear end up lost. Their businesses end up lost, inadequate. They can't execute. They can't grow. They can't get aligned with the right people. They can't get the right resources. They just can't. It's always just because typically they're moving in fear. I'll never be able to do that. That's too much. I can't. That order's even too big. I'd never be able to fulfill that. I'd never. That's the place. That place. That place is what determines whether you grow or not. That place. How do you show up in that moment when opportunity presents itself that's bigger than you could have imagined? Whether it's bigger by twofold or 200-fold is irrelevant at the end of the day. Now, I'm not telling you to suspend logic. I'm not telling you to just operate in a fantasy. What I'm saying, though, is that on any given day, certain opportunities and things show up where you have to make a choice. And you're either going to choose in faith or you're going to choose in fear. And just so we're clear, not choosing is fear. Not choosing is choosing not to choose. So the longer I let something go, the longer I let it languish, the longer I let it just simmer in the background and hoping it fixes itself, hoping that it comes to its own conclusion, I am choosing fear because I am avoiding that thing. We all want to grow. We do. We all want to be influential. We all want to be financially stable. We all want our business ideas to boom and skyrocket, or at least we think that's what we want. Most of us really aren't sure if that's what we want. To do anything substantial, my friends, you're going to need clarity. You're going to have to get very clear about who you are first and why your business is important to you. Because if your business is important to you because you want to raise your profile in the community and feel important in your family, then that's the extent of your business. It's about as far as it'll go. If the intention behind your business is to really impact my community, is to really help the people, my neighbors and friends, do something very specific, if that is my truest intent, then I am not limited by that because that community is what limits me. And it's my mindset around the definition of community that limits me. And so in that way, it's not what I can do, it's what I think I can do that limits me. If you move in faith, you get to a place where you start to function in courage. And that is every time I've stepped out before. I can recall this situation when I had no clue how I was going to fulfill that order. I had no clue how I was going to get that shipment from A to B. I had no clue how we were going to finish that particular project. I had no clue, but we moved forward in faith and we did it. The more you do that, the less fear dominates your day and the more courage drives your decisions. Courage is the currency that you're looking for. It's what's going to take to buy the change, the growth. It's what's going to buy the goodwill. It's what's going to buy opportunities that aren't currently afforded to you. Courage is what's going to do that. Moving with purpose, moving with clarity. Show up in a way that people go, wait a minute. That was different. When someone asks you, how can I help you? If you can't answer that question, you don't have clarity. Someone walks up to you and they say, how can I help you? If you can't answer that, you don't have clarity. You should always know where your business's greatest need is. And you should always be in the process of filling the greatest need of your business. Everything else is a distraction. Someone else should be answering the phone. You don't have to answer every phone. You don't have to talk to you don't have to touch every product. You've got to put together a system where that stuff is taken care of so you can focus on growth. And what is growth? Growth is capturing opportunity. That's what growth is. Growth for your business is capturing opportunity. So what if I don't know where opportunities are? Then your greatest opportunity, if you can't see it, is the opportunity that's holding your business back. So then turn around, look at your business and say, what is it we need most? And that's your job as president, owner, CEO, top dog, big kahuna, whatever you want to call yourself. Your job is to determine on a daily basis what's the most valuable thing you can do for your business. What is the biggest need? Faith sends us after the biggest monsters. Faith sends us out chasing down the demons that are holding us back. Fear keeps us dawdling in paperwork in the office and doing menial things that don't really matter at the end of the day. Fear makes us busy. Fear is why we're so busy doing all these little things, and we can't even let anyone else do them because they won't do them right. We don't have time for them to learn, and we do that because that's what we want to do, because those are the little things. Fear forces me to stay engaged in the little things. Faith is what's required for me to actually lead the business into uncharted territory, to lead the business into new markets, to lead the business into new directions, to lead the business into new levels of success. I have to operate in faith. And the more I do so, the more it works on my behalf, the more courageous leader I become. And courage is the currency of opportunity. Then the opportunities get bigger and bigger and bigger. I think I'm done. I'm going to give you 2 minutes back. I probably put everyone to sleep. I'm going to shut up. Chibuike, you there, my friend?
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Bo. It's always amazing listening to you every time, every day. And I'm sure you've given out a lot of value today, and I appreciate the sacrifice that you have to make to be on this call this morning to you, because I know it's still morning to you. So it's still this will be to 12 in Atlanta, where you are. So there's a question here on the chat already for you, so you can drop a chat as a message, as a question. You can drop a chat, or you may want to speak out. You just unmute yourself and speak out. But we have a question for you here, Mr. Boo. If you move forward in faith, you get the courage to drive your business to fulfillment, is a big takeaway for me. Okay, this is a takeaway. Not a question, actually. But I want to ask, you talked about this journey of building a small company from 1 person to 2 to 3 to 10 to, the number kept increasing till up to 300. Can you tell us what the experience was for you, what the challenges was for you, and how did you scale through that, building from 1, 2, 10, 50, 300?
So happy to answer that, but I have to start with this particular perspective, and you should always keep this perspective. Apparently that business failed. I'm not doing that anymore. So whatever advice I give as it pertains to that particular business, I just take that with a grain of salt. It's not like I was a perpetual success. Growth, I helped with the growth strategy. My biggest challenge in the business was finding people who cared as much as I did. Finding people who were going to do things the way they needed to be done when no one was watching. That was what was most difficult. And that's why at the end of the day, I ended up selling the business and selling the book of business. Actually, I kept the name, but I sold the book of business. And I did that because it just became too difficult to hold, people to a standard that's required to serve the community. See, I can sell to a community and not care about serving them. But if I serve the community, then I don't really care about selling them. So that made it really, really difficult to navigate the onboarding and the expansion and then the growth of that particular business. And at the end of the day, it was what undermined the entire operation. So I was left with the choice of, making it a nonprofit and having it, dictate all of my time on a daily basis. And I just decided against that because my first responsibility is never to my business. My first responsibility is never to my customers. My first responsibility is always to my family. So when the business and the customers dictated so much that I couldn't operate like I was supposed to in my family, I let that go because I could not trust the people to do the things I would do when I was not around. That was the biggest challenge.
Well, and I think this is a challenge that every small business owner can relate with. Finding the right people that can keep the standard when you are not around. In fact, I would say that this is the biggest challenge of every small business owner, and this is the gateway to scalability. If you can get people who can keep the standard when you are not around, then you have the game. We have someone who is raising up his hand, Omolara Olatunji. Please, can you go ahead to ask your question?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go
Good
ahead.
afternoon. My name is Joanna.
Yeah.
So
I can.
I'm from Nigeria. My question is, how can I overcome a fear of unknown in making decisions for my business growth? So I'll be having challenges on that. The fear of moving forward, or let me say, imposter syndrome in making decisions. That's my question.
So, Bo, I can see you're trying to hear. Maybe you didn't get it completely. She's trying to ask, how do you overcome the fear of the unknown in making a business decision? So you have a decision in front of you to make, but you don't know what the next thing after that decision will be. How do you navigate that?
Well, so when it comes to making those kinds of decisions, don't focus on the outcome, focus on the input. Right now, you have no information about what the outcome might be. So trying to sort that out will keep you paralyzed for indefinitely. You always have to lean toward the things that are more tangible when you have decisions like this to make. So you lean toward the input. What is the input? The input are, what are my options? I understand what my options are. What are the pros and cons? What are the reasons one? And if they both come out equal, pick the one you like the most. But if they don't measure the same, trust your measurements because the input is all you have. And then that way, if you make an intelligent decision based on all the information you had, even if it turns out poorly, you made the right decision based on the information. And that's what's going to make you successful long term, even if not in that particular scenario. I hope that helps. That's how I would look at that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is a problem for small business owners. Yeah, because I've been there. There are some times you need to make some decisions that you don't know how the next minute is going to look like, right? Let's say, for example, someone wants to invest, maybe you say million naira to your business and is asking for is asking for 30% or 20%, and you have to make this decision, but you don't know if you're going to get suppliers order to be able to supply the goods without the money. You don't know what the next thing is, so you are afraid of making this decision. Right? I understand that, but your answer is so great, and because you don't have all the information, you can't keep paralyzed all the time, so you have to make a decision and then put to it. Thank you so much, Mr. Bo. In the absence of further question, as a matter of fact, Mr. Bo is not going out of this program. He's going to come back sometime this month to have a session that is going to be, critical and practical and intentional to small business owners. I appreciate you, Mr. Bo. Before you go, if you want to go, I would like the chair of Voice One Africa to say something to you before you go. Mr. Joe, over to you.
Thank you, Chibuke. Mr. Bo, that was amazing. I mean, we
Thank you.
enjoyed every bit of it. Very informative, and in fact, it is deep. I picked a lot from your submission. Thank you so much. And I believe that participants are also going to, in fact, they are going to benefit a lot from the inputs and the insights that you're sharing. And we're looking forward to having you, in subsequent sessions. Thank you so much.
Listen, it is an absolute honor. You happen to be aligned with some people. I see some faces here that are family for me now. So if you're associated with them, you're okay with me. It is a pleasure to meet you. And I'm looking to try to help in any ways I can, right? So this may not be the last of it. I know we have another session, but operate in courage, reach out, ask the questions. Happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Bo. God bless you. If you want to sign out, you can, but if you want to stay around, I know there are faces here that you can stay also. Yeah. So our next speaker is going to be Danila Silva. Danila Silva. Don't run away. I'm coming for you. So Danila is a multi-talented young African from a country that I respect so much, the country of Cape Verde. Cape Verde is an island in Africa. I know a lot of you hearing me now possibly might not know that Cape Verde is in Africa. Of course, if you are seeing Danila, you won't believe she's an African, but she is an African. Full-blooded African. So Danila runs Chuva. Chuva is a multi-faceted company that is into technology and it's into social enterprise and is into a lot of things, environmental management and all of that. I met Danila in the US and I said, no, Danila have to be on EDP for Africa. We have to understand the process, understand the struggles, understand the tenacity and the courage of young female-led businesses in the continent of Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Danila Silva from Cape Verde. Danila, over to you.
Chibuque, thank you for all these kind words. Guys, I think he liked it. Thank you for this opportunity to talk with your people. It really means a lot for us. So I think I'll start teaching you about Cape Verde. At the fellowship, oh guys, sorry, my cat. At the fellowship, I realized that almost all the fellows didn't know that Cape Verde existed, where we are, how many people we are. So we are actually 10 islands in the Atlantic Ocean. We are close to Senegal, and we are very, very small. All the country has over 500,000 people, and my island, we are 70,000. So I believe that compared to Nigeria is nothing. But yeah, about my background, I am an accountant. I have a degree in accounting, but I don't work in accountings. I started at Chuva for that, but I'm sorry, guys, my cat wants to show up. But technology got my heart, and I never did accounting again. I started as an accountant, then, sorry. Then I was a project manager, software project manager, QA. Then I started getting into the clients, and I had to take the company because I can't just do what I have to do to get the payroll. I think things like personally, and I took the company, and that's why now I am a co-founder. So what Chuva does? Shuva is a software development company. We've been in business for the last 4 years, and we develop all kinds of solution application websites. When we started in Cape Verde, the context was not like it is today. We had no infrastructure, we had no software companies, we didn't have any e-commerce, the simplest things. We didn't have e-commerce 4 years ago, and we didn't have the talent, people to work in our company, although we understood that technology could be a good way for Cape Verde. Because when COVID came in, our economy depends 60% on tourism. So when COVID hit us, as you can imagine, it was very hard for the country to manage without the tourists coming in. So technology, we see it as a way to replace the tourism influence in our economy because it's so vulnerable. And what you need to have a technology company, beside the talent, you need a computer and internet. Cape Verde has a good internet coverage. Almost 95% of the country is covered with internet. We have good phone access, so that would not be a problem. We just needed the talent now. So what we did, we started a nonprofit organization as well called Shuva Foundation. So we could work on the chicken and egg problem, where the company Shuva would deal with the business part, getting the work to be done, and Shuva Foundation would get the talent. So you can't have the work without the talent, and you can have the talent without the work to be done. So we've been managing both parts to try to make technology go further in Cape Verde. Although things haven't been always very easy, as you can imagine, for a country that wasn't prepared for something like this, we had some struggles we had to deal with. As I said, infrastructure, but most of it was legislations and regulation. Starting a business in Cape Verde is very, very easy, but a business on technology, that might not be that easy. You can start a company, but you don't even have the category on the type of business list on that say technology. So we had to create a company saying that we do consultancy. Consultancy of what? They don't know. So those are kind of things. Something that he does very, very hard was a fintech application that we created. Is the country's first fintech app that we had an email from Cape Verde Central Bank saying, you can't do this. Why we can't do this? Because there's no regulations for fintech in Cape Verde. So those are the kinds of things that we had to go through to help not only our company, but the country as a whole to move further. So right now you have the central bank getting together with different companies to try to understand how they can improve the regulations so it's easy for new people get into fintech or any other kind of technology, and the government can see now Cape Verde as a tech hub. So we feel that we had a good play on that. And why I'm saying this, I saw a commercial the other day saying that something is only crazy before you do it. Once you do it, it's not crazy anymore. So we had the courage, as Bo said, we had the courage, we had all the motivation to do something crazy. And now the country is moving forward with us. I'd like to talk with you about how we started the business, and that might help you on this journey that you are on. So beside all the registration you have to do for the business, we thought that the first thing we had to do was setting the right culture for the company. And the culture is very important. Why? Because not only you know what you want for your business, but all your employees, all the people that work with you share the same vision, the same values, and so they can all work not as only someone that is there to receive a payroll, but they take the business as their own and they fight for it. And you have the right environment around everybody in your company. I'd like to share with you some core values that you might think of it for your own businesses. Each one, teach one. That is the main thing we have in our company, that is empowering your colleague. So what we did, we started very, very slow with one employee, and we teach him everything. And then when we got to the second employee, the first one is the one that do all the onboarding. So he's the one that shared what are our values. He's the one that shared how to get the job done, not us anymore. So that creates a cycle. So the next one is directed by the second one, and on and on and on again. So that helps you not only get to do what you want to do. So imagine if me or my partner would have to onboard everyone in the company, we couldn't have the time to do what is important for the business. That is our specialty. So you have other people doing that for you, and because they feel it as their own. We also have been doing workshops and boot camps with kids, and we gave them stickers of our company and say, you will only have the sticker if you promise that you will teach another person what you learned here, what you learned at the boot camp. And in the second day, they came with their cousins and with their brothers. So I brought someone here to learn with me what I learned yesterday. So that's the core of each one, teach one. Build yourself is the second value that we value the most. Build yourself, create people that create tools, and tools that empower people. So it goes in the two ends. For example, the softwares we built for Cape Verde are not only softwares for profit to get the money. There are foundational softwares that will allow other companies in Cape Verde to use our infrastructure, our foundation, to build their own on top of ours, so they don't have to struggle with everything we have struggled before. So we are solving issues not just for us, but for other companies. Maximize your potential. The best thing is to realize that you don't know everything. So you can always learn from everyone and every day. At the company, we say that we are all ignorant because we don't know everything, especially on technology that moves so fast. So you have to be updated, get certifications, keep studying. You will never stop studying. Dare to dream. So if you don't dream, if you don't take the action, anything is impossible for you. Establish high expectation, and overcome them every day, every day. Also, there's something we say, ask for forgiveness, not for permission. So you have to be courage enough. And that's what we did for the fintech app. We didn't tell the central bank that we were launching a fintech app, because if we had to ask before, they would say no. So we launched it first, and then we started the conversation. Okay, now that it's in the market, let's sit together and talk about how this can be a reality. These are some of the core values I wanted to share with you. The next step would be set your process. What is your company process? It might be manufacturing, technology, any kind of field you're working on. You have to set up a process. So once again, everyone in the company knows how to manage things without you being involved. So you don't have to be always taking the decisions. Everyone can take decisions because they already know what to do, what is the path, what would we do if we were there. But also don't be very rigid in your process, because that can create other kinds of issues in your company. For example, we studied this at the Mandela Washington Fellowship, that it's about your process. If you are very rigid, you can be stuck to. So imagine you have a hierarchy, and this person has to talk to this person, but this is the one that takes the decision. It's hard to get there, so things can be stuck. So make a process, but don't make it very rigid. Be open for new ideas, for new ways to solve problems. In the end of the day, you just want to go forward. So how can you go forward? Smooth way possible. And I think the last thing I'd like to share with you is that take opportunities and make the most of it. This this program created by Chibukwe and Voice of Africa, it's very, it will help you a lot. Like when I went to Mandela Fellowship, I met 24 people from 19 different countries. So I took the chance to learn how I can do things differently in my country. So Chibukwe is having a different background. You have Bo from US, you have here Michail from South Africa, and many other people that are here to share their experience. So take this opportunity and make the most of it for your companies, for your countries, not only for yourself. Has a sorry for my English, I'm missing the word now, but you have a mission that is not only for you, but for your community. So what is your purpose? Why you are doing it? If it's just for money, it won't be the best way to approach it. Do it for your purpose, for your mission, for your why, and then the money will get to you. Then the money will be involved. Don't be driven by the money. Chibukwe, I hope I said what you guys wanted me to share. If you have any questions, please bring them. I'll be happy to help. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Danila. Thank you. Each time I listen to you, I get so motivated, and because I am a fan of female-led businesses. As a matter of fact, one of the projects we'll be launching later this year or sometime next year is specifically going to be focusing on female-led businesses. And of course, get ready, you're going to be on the lists of the faculties. It's been inspiring hearing from you leading technology in Cape Verde. From your background is amazing, and that is an experience that a lot of people don't have, right? A lot of ladies, a lot of ladies are afraid of technology. They don't want to get into technology, but here you are breaking all the rules and getting ahead, even leading
I'd like to say
one.
something else, Chibukwe, that I forgot, and now that you mentioned ladies, thank you for saying that.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
This is the best time, like right now is the best time for ladies in business. We have a lot of wonderful women around there giving us the power. So this is the time, this is the moment. Don't wait for tomorrow. We might lose the chance. So this like Women for Technology, Women in Tech has been doing an amazing work empowering women. I'm sure you'll find many different other companies, organizations that are helping women. So be attentive in LinkedIn, look for opportunities, because there are a lot of opportunities for women right now. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you so much. You just mentioned LinkedIn, and I want to also say, please go to LinkedIn and look for Danila Silva, look for Bo, look for Michail. Michail is going to be talking to us next. Look for them, connect with them, get associated with them, get motivated, see what they are doing, ask them questions, get involved, and let's grow together. That is the reason for EDP for Africa. All right. Before someone picks this chance, let me take advantage of incumbency, right? I'm already on the microphone, so let me take this advantage to ask Danila. So Danila, you talked about processes, and I know building a process is one of the challenges of small business owners, because you are small, and most of the times you are the person, baking the cookies, delivering the cookies, collecting your money, paying it in the bank, buying the raw materials, and doing all of that. Most of the times you get, caught up in documenting your processes? I know processes is about documentation and following it through all the time to have the same result all the time. For example, if you want to make a tea, you get a tea bag, put it in a cup, boil your water, put it in the cup, put your sugar and all of that. If you follow that process, you get the same result. But you see, because business owners are the people in the business, they are the ones doing the cookie, delivering it, collecting money. There are no systems to collect money. There are no systems for delivery. There are no system for packaging. There are no system for all of that. How did you, a small company in a small country, Cape Verde, how were you able to put your processes into perspective that has given you such leverage, even beyond Cape Verde? Because I know you were in France, I think sometime earlier this year, and you are in the US with us, and I know you are going to another country. All of these things are because you have a process that you've been following, that you've documented, that has been working for you. Can you please talk to us about the process?
Okay, so this one of the secrets of having a good process is to change it every day. So every day you're learning, every day something new comes in. So you have to adapt. So you have to adapt every day. Any process, it's the perfect one. But we managed to have a process because we did that. But once the company started, we took a time to sit and write down a process. So before giving work for the people, they already know what is the process. So it's a matter of writing down what you've been doing every day, just documenting, so you can share with others, and so you can automate things. So you said like a tea, it's boil water, put a cup. So if you already has a process, you will do that very easily every day, and you'll be more efficient, more productive. But if you don't have one, you might be getting the result, but maybe not efficient as you could be, or maybe not as productive. That is one of the things. Another one you mentioned about being applying and participating and engaging in different activities. I think that has something to do with consistency and being true to your values. I'll share this in Cape Verde. I'm not the most loved person here because I speak the truth. I don't change my values. So if you put $1 million here and it goes against my values, I won't be taking it. The company won't be taking it. So that is very important because people get to respect you differently. So because they can't control you, because you have your own mindset, your own values, and your own mission. So yeah, that is one of the things that with time you can be recognized and people can see the truth in you, and that make you go further. Otherwise, you're just like everybody else that is just following the game.
All right, thank you so much, Danila. So amazing listening to you this evening. Please, ladies and gentlemen, you have any question so far for Danila? Number one.
Voice Africa, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Joe. Yeah. So I mean, thank you, Danila. It's not so much of a question; it's more of a thought. I mean, following your submission and thinking about it. In fact, what you said, you made a phrase about not asking for permission, but rather for forgiveness. And I think that's a very strong quote and a very strong value, especially when we think about the African setup where we're more inclined to getting feedback, not feedback in the sense like you want kind of approval more or less before you take a step. And so in saying so, this value, it's something that will really help people to leapfrog and to just be courageous, as Coach Bo was saying, to take those daring steps of faith and just keep moving. And then you realize, oh, maybe I've stepped on certain toes, and then you probably come back and ask for forgiveness. I think this is a very valuable. I just wanted to highlight that for all of us to take note of. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you,
You got
thank
it.
you,
You got the message.
Joe. Thank you so much. The next speaker we have is Michail Le Roux, from South Africa. My brother that I love so much. Yeah, having an experience with you is so amazing. So Le Roux is a lawyer by profession, is a legal practitioner. So I thought of bringing him on board because one of the challenges of small business is legal issues, right? You want to do a contract, you want to, do all of those legal matters. People want to match your toes because they think you are small. You can afford a big lawyer. You can't even afford a lawyer, let alone a big one. You can't do anything. But that is not just it. Le Roux is also into blockchain, and that is new technology, and we have to begin to leverage on it. You don't have to have a closed mindset or a small mindset. You have to expand your horizon. So that becomes very important. What that tells me is that the potential of Africa as a continent is beyond what we see and what we can perceive. Our potential is greater than the rest of the world makes us to see. So this evening, we'll be listening to Michail Le Roux. Welcome, brother, and it's over to you.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you guys. I hope that everybody can hear me clearly. I'm from South Africa. I spent some time with Chibuke. I spent some time with Danila and Bo in Atlanta. I wore the hat.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I wore the hat primarily because I wanted to represent the city that we were all in together. So this is Atlanta, and that's where we all met, and that's sort of how this entire Zoom meeting conference comes together for EDP. So Chibuka is right. I am a lawyer by profession. I mainly work in cross-border transactions for tech and financial services companies like there's the likes of Facebook, now Meta. I've advised them. I've advised the World Bank, International Finance Corporation, and then all the way down to startups that are at various levels before finance and before and post acquiring or receiving finance, like Chuva, for example. That's Danila's company that she's founded. I'm a founder myself. I've got a practice in a law firm. I've got a blockchain company, and I also have something that I'm working on, which is an ed tech company. The company that I'm a shareholder in is a blockchain entity that works on supply chain management, and the ed tech company that I'm involved in is really trying to democratize education using blockchain technology. But we can speak about many things, and I'm going to speak about three things. The first will be following from what Bo and Danila said, and the second will also be, the first is really about purpose, and the second is really about motivation, and the third will be about law, because law generally will appear to you after you've done something, and then becomes a lot more important. So to speak about purpose, in every community, in every system, in every form of technology that you've engaged with, there needs to be a need for that technology. If there's no need, you're not really moving in that direction. So when it comes to purpose, I think that the first and important thing that one needs to focus on is really a question. And you have to ask yourself this every day. And it's not at startup level, it's not at the biggest company level. It is really at every level. And that is, am I solving a problem? Am I meeting consumer and client demand? And it doesn't matter if you're selling toothpaste on the corner of a roadside, or you are providing an app that makes life a lot more pleasurable or simple. The question remains, am I solving a problem? And I would implore every business, whenever I speak on every stand, audience, stage, it's always the central question is, am I solving a problem? Because if you're not solving a problem, the purpose becomes a lot more challenging to engage with and a lot more challenging to advance. Values and everything else are equally important. But we need to meet consumer demand, we need to meet client demand. And I implore you again to ask yourself that question. And of course, Danila said a lot about what the processes of the business is. I can't necessarily add too much value there because she's given so much, but was added so much as well. My thing is simple. Ask yourself the question, am I solving a problem? And if you are, keep on pushing. If you can see a way that your system and technology can work better, keep on pushing. There are a million apps available on several platforms. If you go to the iStore, we use the top 5 apps and we go there because of ratings, we go there because of whatever it is that we need. But to each and every person that uses those apps, they're solving a problem that we have. It could be anything. It could be tracking your steps. It could be tracking your calories, dietary. It could be telling you what time the sun is coming up and setting. It's solving a problem. So central to any business purpose should be, in my mind, at least in the technology framework, solving a problem. And then second to that is the motivations around doing this. If you're doing this because of money, starting any business because of money is generally, it's a great motivator. If you know you can earn money, it's always wonderful. However, money, you always hear that people will say, if you're doing something well and you're doing the right thing, money will come. And that is an age-old adage where there's nothing more truthful. Just putting one foot in front of the other and doing something and meeting demand will always bring you what you need. Doesn't matter how long it takes. I see too many businesses fail because they try to scale too fast and they don't have the competence or they don't have the manpower behind those businesses to make sure that that works out. So money often isn't a good motivator in the short term. In the long term, absolutely. But creating foundational values, creating systems that function, generating a team, or bringing together a team that makes sense is more important than the money in the short term. Because if you believe in your purpose, underlined by values, you can achieve anything. So that leads me to my third thing. And of course, this is the law. I'm a big proponent, because I'm a business lawyer, I'm a big proponent of starting a business, incorporating a company, and doing things the way that makes sense from one, a business perspective, and two, a tax perspective. Because, and I'll give you that interesting sort of knack to how this thing works. Number one, incorporate a company. Number two, if you have assets, place all of the assets in the company. Number three, if you need debt to leverage your entity so that you can get into the market, so that you can buy stock, so you can do anything, loan that money elsewhere. And I'll give you the secret. Every single business in the Fortune 500 does not operate on their own capital. They operate using the bank's money, and they pay the interest and they repay the bank over time. So if you can get a responsible way, and again, reiterate the fact, responsible way, but using a responsible way about using finance and capital from outside of your own entity, use that. Do not be afraid of debt, as long as it is responsible and manageable. If you need to educate yourself and your business about how to use that in order to leverage that debt and make sure that your business expands in the right way, then there's so many resources everywhere. But do that, educate yourself on that, but do not be afraid of debt, and understand that managing the way that you use loans, the way that you use financing, has a tax benefit, which ultimately has a benefit in the way that you run your company. A lot of businesses fail because they're trying to make money to break even. Break even is not the goal. That is a rule. You need to pay for whatever you're using to broaden your horizons to make profit. But if you understand debt, like everyone else understands debt, at the Fortune 500 and all of these big companies, that's the secret. It's using the bank's money, using everyone else's money, your investors and all the rest, to get to a place where you can pay them monthly and ensure that that income stream is generated consistently and in perpetuity, meaning forever. So do not be afraid of that. One, your debt, that's your friend if it's manageable. And number two, it's also tax deductible. Understand that this is something that is a relationship that is part of business. And of course, that comes with having a business, having incorporated a business. Once you're in that level, you can move forward. Then you can broaden your team. You'll typically start out with 3 people, somebody answering the calls, somebody leading the business, and somebody that has real professional insights. That's the core value of every business that starts out. Then you'll generate teams from those 3 functions, meaning somebody that manages the business. You have teams that manage functions that needed to be managed before, somebody that controls calls. That person becomes more operationally inclined. Now you have hiring processes to onboard professionals, to onboard individuals, more of an HR operations perspective. And then your third person will be a specialist, which is in the technology framework, somebody that understands technology, that understands they need developers, they need engineers, they need people that are front facing. Your back end, your front end needs to be developed. Particularly, there are different roles there. You can't have a jack of all trades at a certain level. So as you grow along, you sort of need to give yourself between 1 and 3 years to understand how to figure this out. If you can do it in the first year, amazing. If your purpose is solidified in your market, and you know that you can deliver what clients need, what customers need, perfect. You need to give yourself 3 years to understand how you're going to achieve this. And if you make it past the 3 years, you're onto something. That's generally a rule of thumb in Africa. If you can make it past the 3-year mark by hell or high water, you would have made it somewhere. The legal stuff you'd really only need to worry about after the 3rd year mark, unless it's dire. Now, founders are founders. Startups work in the best way they can on every single day they operate. I'm not saying that you must do things that are different to what other people are doing or illegal. I'm not saying any of that. What I am saying is hiring legal professionals and onboarding law firms is not a 1st year or 2nd year concern unless you're scaling dramatically. If you're turning over 300%, 400% after your 1st year, then perhaps you want to get into the mode of having a lawyer present on all of your deals. However, generally, you can move through a market through good agreements that you understand value, that you understand individuals, that you can trust. That would be your guiding light. If you need to reduce things to paper, it's always the best way to go. There's nothing better than, reducing your agreements to paper, but you always need to be cognizant of the fact is you need to understand whether you can enforce these agreements in a court of law, and you also need to be understanding of whether or not, there's value in doing so, because at the end of the day, that impacts your cash flow. When you have surplus cash flows, then maybe you can worry about those types of things. But it's more important in your first 3 years to worry about purpose, meeting customer and client demand, and then also building on those functions. That's management. Of course, that is specialist, and then your operations, so that you can get past the 3-year mark and actually make an imprint in the market that you're in. And then you can worry about the broader functionings of law and how that impacts your business. So the takeaway for right now is registration is important, understanding your tax obligations is important, understanding how to use debt is important. So that means your loans, so that you can use other people and their money to make sure that your profits month on month or quarter on quarter or year on year is at a place where you want, so that you can pay them their monthly installment and the interest, but you can actually run a business and retain those earnings and use it in the business, you know. So understanding that's important. And then thirdly, get past the 3-year mark. If you can get past the 3-year mark, you're onto something. And, you know, after the 3-year mark, your scale is important, because then you're thinking about something incredibly different. You're no longer a business that is trying to find its feet. You're now in the position where you know your customers or your clients, you understand your business, you understand your market, and you know how to make money in that environment. And now you would need to get into partnerships, you need to do brand deals, you would need to do licensing applications where you're stepping up into a different environment where you're taking greater responsibility, you're a lot more visible, and of course, you're using a lot more money to generate profits. So, yeah, those are my takeaways. I think Bo and Danila built a really great foundation for me to sort of end on. But of course, from a legal perspective, I'll repeat that again. Incorporation, debt is your friend, and of course, get to the 3-year mark and then reevaluate and scale for profit. And last and well, keeping the best for last. Again, we met in Atlanta. It's all love. Yeah, if you have any legal questions, you can throw them at me. I'm a lot better at answering the legal questions directly and succinctly, so throw them at me.
Hey, I've got a question. So it's common, and I don't know a good answer, but a lot of times a small business owner comes up with an identity and they're so afraid they can't defend it that they keep it hidden, and they don't want their business to grow because they don't want someone else stealing the idea and then running off and do it. So how do they protect themselves? Is there a foundational way for them to do something up front that allows them to move with more purpose?
Absolutely, absolutely. So one thing that you will realize about businesses that are registering what we call intellectual property. There are 4 forms of intellectual property. There will be designs and trademarks, there'll be logos, there'll be copyrights, and then patents. These are all different forms of intellectual property. So in the software environment, there's a debate around whether or not you are registering a copyright or a patent. This is different country and country. So when you're protecting this identity, you can protect your brand and logo by registering a trademark in those respects, or registering the business in those respects, to defend against other businesses that would like to sort of copy your brand or logo and your slogan. Once you're registered, nobody else can copy that. Remember, that is in a particular country. So if you're in Nigeria, you can do this at the particular commission, but then there's also an international step up. So one would think about a major corporation like Coca-Cola having registered itself in the US. It would also need to do that in other jurisdictions up until a certain point where it's internationally recognized, because there are certain bodies that protect that branding, right? So the first step is to register your brand, logo, slogan at your particular level in your country, and then also seek out the advices of your particular intellectual property commission and their registry in relation to your copyright. So we're talking about source codes for applications and technology and so forth. That's a particular IP that needs to be checked against the database if it does not already exist. Of course, some of these works come into existence on development. That's a difficult one. However, one would need to again check that against the backdrop of the market or what is registered in the particular commission. In South Africa, in Africa, the English-speaking countries in particular, we step up to the UK. There's a reason for that, because they have a database that we can check and then see if there's any patents, copyrights, designs, and logos that are part of that cohort that we need to then see if we're infringing upon. So if you're worried about intellectual property, if you're worried about the identity of your business, there is a database in each and every country that one can look for commercially. No doubt. No doubt. I know Nigeria has something like this. I know South Africa. I know most English, Anglophone nations in Africa follow the UK. So yes, you can see what the identity of the business is measured against in market if you look at these commissions and what is registered there. In the tech environment, we tend to build and not cared about that. And more often than not, it's okay. But yes, you can go and check that. And if there's nothing there, push forward and register it. Generally, in my experience in West Africa and East Africa, because I have registered a couple of businesses in this neck of the woods, I know in Nigeria, we spent less than £1,000. This was, I must say, this was an entity coming out of the UK paying for the operations in Nigeria. And we were moving in Nigeria for numerous forms to register different types of IP. But we launched an application. The fees to make the application were less than £1,000, if I recall correctly. This was 2 years ago. The legal fees were more. So generally, the application is fine. You can push through as long as you know exactly where to make the application. If you need more advice on that, I can put you in touch with.
Hey, Michail, we actually have two people with their hands raised.
Yeah, I'm gonna get.
I see two. So there are actual questions for you. Mary, if you would come off mute, please, and ask your question.
Absolutely.
Hello, everyone. This is Mary Patrick from Kenya.
Hello.
Yes, I work with the youth, and I've realized that when they are going to pitch to somebody about the idea, you find that somebody has personal interests, and you pitch, and they tell you that you didn't qualify for the interview. Then later, after some months, you see somebody has implemented your idea. So how do you go about it? Because you don't have anything to show that it was idea, but you remember you went somewhere for an interview, you pitched it, and somebody grabbed your idea. So how do you go about it? Because you're very sure this is my idea, I pitched with it, now it's on TV, this is a big corporation company, and you don't have anything. And even if you go, like here in Kenya, sometimes if you go to the courts, you don't win the case. So how do you protect at that level? Because I've seen even youth, they don't like sharing any idea here, because the moment you share it, somebody will go and patent your idea or your phrase or anything, and you don't get anything at the end of it.
I think I'll come in there. So we need to understand that some forms of intellectual property, and this is really difficult and tumultuous at times, some forms of intellectual property like copyrights come into existence on production. Patents are registered. So when you have any invention that is patentable, if you do not have a registered patent for that invention, it is taken by law that you are not the originator of that idea. Unfortunately, this is what happens to many individuals that share their ideas too soon. And the only way to defend that idea, that invention, is by showing registration, which is then demonstratable at a point in time. Now, you will find that when you register a patent, there may be similar patents that exist from the 1980s. And then you need to go back home and then sort of re-engineer your idea to make sure that it's different to submit a successful application to the commission. If it is an idea, do not give it away easily. As simple as that. If you have 5 points of your idea, 5 points, do not give away the 2 that make it successful. Speak about the 3 that you can actually market, especially if you're looking for investment, because I found that too many small businesses find themselves in this, well, not necessarily this environment, but this position. You will speak about this to the central bank. Next week, the central bank is doing just that. The idea that you had, that's exactly that they will follow through that action. So, if you are in a position to register a patent or to register any IP for that matter, do so as soon as possible and check if this idea, this brand, this logo is not in existence at present in your particular country. That is the only way that you can defend that idea. Unfortunately,
Michail, I have an idea, and I hate to cut you off there, sir. I believe we're over time. I think we're supposed to be done a while ago, and we're still continuing. I believe, and from my perspective, as I listen, I'm a problem solver. And I would imagine that problem runs rampant. It causes problems in the U.S., of course, and I would imagine globally, in underdeveloped countries, it's even more sinister. So one of the things I believe, and one of the things I'm believing, there's an opportunity for Voice of Africa to partner with people like yourself, Michail, who understand patent law, who understand intellectual property law, and to create a database of instructions on a per company basis across the continent. So people, when they don't know what to do, they can go somewhere and they can follow a script. But even further, when it comes to intellectual property, I know in the States, there's something called a poor man's copyright. A poor man's copyright in the United States is if this is an idea that can be articulated in text and then printed on a sheet of paper and signed and dated and even notarized and then sealed into an envelope. That is some minimal level of protection, that the idea predates any other people who try to go out and pursue it or whatever else. There's also this kind of crowdsourced security, and the crowdsourced security is, I believe, Voice One Africa also has an opportunity to create a platform for people with brilliant ideas to show up somewhere and to share them on a common platform with not necessarily everybody in the organization, but within a certain community there that can help them think the idea through with the intent to help build on that idea so they can move forward with it. And then that meeting and that content can be cataloged in a way that it can be referred back to a year from now, 2 years from now, to say, no, the idea originated here. Here's the recording. We have the technology. Here's the conversation, the people, the date, and everything. And it's not the same as going a purely legal route, but when it comes to intellectual property, we have other ways, if we're creative, to capture that idea in its current form at a particular time. And now we can log these things with pure video, with transcription services, with whatever else, and be referred to later. I just think there's some creativity here that can solve for this problem. And I believe it will help a rising tide across the continent, because I am quite certain there are brilliant people who are sitting on solutions because they don't want to tell anybody about it because it's going to take off as soon as they do.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Bo. It's amazing, and I know Joe, who is the continental chair for Voice One Africa, is here, and myself, I'm also here, and some of us are here. Bo, and I think what we would do is we'll get on a Zoom call with you, Michail, Danila, and Joe to see how we can build this platform moving forward. So we'll see if we can launch it on the next cohort as part of the deliverables of the program to help people get their IPs in any way it can be documented and be referred to, or without going through the normal process. I think that can be something that we can be proud of and say we are going to use that to help small businesses to scale. Abubakar is raising your hand. I want to give you that opportunity to ask your question. Go ahead, Abubakar.
Yeah. Good afternoon, please.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, I'm Ruka from Abuka Ruka from Ghana.
Okay.
Yes, I'm into a business and I want to scale up my business. So I want little advice to see how I can do it. I'm into processing, Tom Brown processing, and I'm also a caterer in profession. I want to combine those business together and see how it will go. So I need some advice from you to jot it down and follow it to scale up the business.
Okay. Rukaya from Ghana, thank you so much for joining on this program. So the reason why you're on this program is to be able to scale. This question you asked, like I said, is not a question that have one single answer. It doesn't have one single answer. Yeah. But if you stay on this program diligently, as much as it's going to provide opportunities to scale, of course, you heard we're talking about IP, that is intellectual property. We are going to get into strategy. We're going to get into agile. We're going to, I just texted Bo to develop the content on agile. So we're going to get on agile, on how you can be able to iterate and move fast. So all of these is going to culminate into your being able to scale. And I want to wish you good luck in advance, because when you compete for the grant, I pray that you are one of those that will get, so that you can get a little fund to invest into your business. So my answer to that is stay tuned on this program, and then you're going to get all the advice that you can implement into your business.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're trying to beat the time. I think we have 12 minutes left. We're trying to end at 6. I know it's been a ton of content today, from Bo to Danila to Michail. It's going to be so amazing on this program in the next weeks coming. If today can be like this, I know the remaining days are going to be amazing. As a matter of fact, tighten your seatbelt, get ready for the contents that are coming. Is going to be, overwhelming. I trust me, it's going to be overwhelming. But what it's going to do to your business is going to knock you off your comfort zone, and it's going to put you back into that place where you keep working on your business till you scale to the African continent and then to the world. I want to say thank you. I want to hand over to Joe Degako, the chair for Voice One Africa.
Thank you so much, Chibuke. I'd like to extend, great thanks to all of you, Coach Bo, Danila. Okay, so thank you once again for all the content and the insights you've shared with all of us. Michail Le Roux, yeah. I've experienced South Africa, it's beautiful. I'm here to visit the US, hopefully soon. I'm actually based in the UK at the moment. And Voice One Africa, what we're doing is connecting the continent of Africa. And what we believe in the potential in the youth of Africa. That's the largest demographic we have, and that's our resource as it is now. So our aim is to foster this network and the connection, and to share, to share experiences, ideas, to leapfrog, and to help each and everyone to grow. And that's what we're doing. So excited about EDP. Chibuke and I, we go in touch, and SoundMind, Voice One Africa are doing this together, and we're excited. This is the second cohort. We believe that even though, all of us on this platform can attest to the value that we've experienced in this very launch event, it's way more than we could price. It's just so much. If we were to book, say, Coach Bo for this session, probably going to pay thousands of dollars for that. So this is a value that you've gotten. And so I just want to say that the grants that we are given, or the value of this program, is way beyond the grant price of $300. The value of the program is way more than that. So I'm encouraging all participants and candidates to value the program. You're not coming in for the grant. You're not coming for the money. The ideas and the things you're going to benefit is going to push your company, is going to push you forward. And I think we should focus more on that than the just winning the grants, So I just want to just say that we bear that in mind as we move forward in the coming weeks. Thank you so much, Chibuke, and thank you everyone for this. We're going to keep pushing, and like all the ideas you shared about these other programs and platforms, we're going to pursue them and push forward with those as well. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Bo. Thank you, Danila. Thank you, Michail. Thank you, all the participants. Thank you so much, and see you in the coming weeks. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Ciao.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.